Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ignition News. It is January 29th, 2026. We have just 2 days remaining of this chaotic start to the new year, but there are some glimmers of hope and some resistance across the country that I want to talk to you about today. Here on the Ignition News, we typically cover 5 to 6 stories that I think you should know about in order to be equipped to better fight fascism in the United States of America, but also to keep your finger to the pulse of truth as the media ecosystem is becoming increasingly cowardice, bought by the billionaires or just algorithmically suppressed. Good morning, everyone. Do consider following that show. Just search The Ignition News. If you can't find the show, just go to theignition.news and you'll be able to find the show wherever we stream live. This morning, we are streaming live on multiple platforms. Be sure to hop over there, put a comment over there if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch or Substack or TikTok. And that's where we're going to start the show, everyone. Good morning. I wanted to start the show out today with a special congratulations. And that is to David Ellison. If you know who David Ellison is, let's pull up some details for the fam. Let's do it. I'm excited. David Ellison, let's go ahead and do this. I'm invested now. Yeah, give me some details. Casual show, in case you haven't noticed. David Ellison and Larry Ellison. That's who I'm going to start out the show with a big congratulation to. Larry Ellison, of course, the billionaire who is the majority owner of Oracle, who owns an entire island in Hawaii, by the way. Who was paramount in purchasing this app TikTok. Of course, Ellison owns a significant stake in the company Oracle, which has a huge role in the backbone of the internet infrastructure. Let's see, he's worth, about $400 billion. His family's joint ownership of Paramount Skydance, he basically handed to his son. And he purportedly guaranteed $40 billion to purchase Paramount, by the way. He owns 98% of the island of Lanai, which he purchased in 2012 for just $300 million. And he moved there permanently in 2020. His real estate portfolio is valued at $4 billion. And he has a bunch of boats and yachts. And I just want to give a quick congratulations to Larry. Larry, congratulations. By all accounts, you've achieved a very successful life. But based on how you've transitioned the ownership of the most popular social media app in the entire planet under your company's purview, it's quite amazing to me how someone so abruptly incompetent, so deeply incompetent, has been able to achieve such massive success. And then to hand off that success to your equally incompetent son, David, who now is poking around in American media like it's Monopoly on a family movie night. Congratulations, Larry. Truly an accomplishment to have achieved so much with so little horsepower up there in the old cranium. It's amazing. It's amazing. Of course, while not our top story, we're continuing to see reports of the gradual failure of the app once formerly known as TikTok. It's going the way of Yahoo, I think. But let's continue. Let's continue into the main stories. Good morning, everyone. So our top story today is ICE in Minneapolis. It's a continued story. We're going to start in Minneapolis, where the federal government has just blinked. After 2 full weeks of chaos and 2 dead American citizens, ICE has put out new guidelines, operational guidance that reads like an apology letter that was written by a lawyer. Here's an internal memo that we obtained. It says, quote, do not communicate with or engage with agitators. The memo says engaging, quote, serves no purpose except inflaming the situation. Agents are now instructed only to communicate by issuing commands. And here's the part that says everything. They are now being issued megaphones so they can, quote, verbalize every step of the arrest process. This means, of course, that they know they're being recorded, and now they know what it looks like. So let's keep this clear. On January 7th, Jonathan Ross killed Renee Good, 37-year-old mother of 3, while she was in her car. The administration immediately claimed that she ran over the agent. Video evidence obviously now contradicts that. On January 24th, federal agents killed Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse. He was recording operations legally. Agents took his legally carried firearm and disarmed him, then shot him in the back multiple times. And even before there was a proper investigation, the political machine went to work, with Stephen Miller calling Preddy a, quote, would-be assassin and a domestic terrorist. Kristi Noem echoing those claims. But of course, evidence has undermined that narrative, now showing that he was disarmed. So Now they are scrambling to try to recover the narrative if that's possible at all. So ICE says operations will, quote, focus on immigrants with criminal charges or convictions. They have said this before, by the way. This ends the broad sweeps that have triggered legal challenges. Bovino, of course, is out. He's now demoted and heading back to California. Rumors on the street are that Bovino is going to retire. And then Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is taking direct control of Minnesota operations, replacing Greg Bovino with Tom Homan. What a win. But here's what the memo does not address. Apparently, ICE has been operating under a secret directive issued on May 2025. We've discussed this before, but that directive allows people to enter homes without judicial warrants. That is not just tweaking a policy, that is a blatant violation of your constitutional rights. And of course, the president has threatened the Insurrection Act, and there are 1,500 active duty soldiers in Alaska reportedly on standby. Now, we don't know if that's on standby for Minnesota or for Greenland. But this is not a change of policy. This is damage control. This is the administration being caught on camera killing American citizens. Moving on to Philadelphia, the Fuck Around and Find Out Coalition. DA Larry Krasner just launched what could be the most important legal coalition against federal officers in decades. It's called FAFO. It's called the Project for Fight Against Federal Overreach. Okay, that's clever. The acronym is FAFO. Obviously, you know what that means. Fuck around and find out. So local and state prosecutors from places like Minneapolis, Tucson, Austin, Dallas, and some cities in Virginia are combining their legal strategies to fight federal agents who break the law. They're talking about charging them with things like murder, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, assault, and or perjury. Here's the blunt assessment from Krasner. There's no magical cloak that protects someone who disarms a person and then shoots them repeatedly. There's no immunity shield that makes killing a young mother automatically legal. Vice President J.D. Vance, obviously, it claimed that they have absolute immunity, but these FAFO prosecutors, they are legal experts, and they are calling that claim absurd. Is it hard to prosecute federal officials? Absolutely. Are they going to try to do it anyway? Yeah. They are, and it's already moving. Here's what we know. Hennepin County Attorney Marty Moriarty filed suit with Minnesota's AG to prevent destruction of evidence connected to Alex Preddy's death. They also have the following infrastructure. This is important. They launched a public website, federaloverreach.org. They are fundraising through a nonprofit, and they have a February meeting to get things kicked off. Their longer-term goal includes investigations and prosecutions. I want to pause on how remarkable that is. That you have a group of prosecutors essentially stepping outside of the existing framework, creating an organization, creating a structure, and then creating a fundraising structure in order to sort of prosecute these federal agents outside of the protections that they have been alleged to have. Pennsylvania lawmakers have threatened consequences. The mayor and police commissioner are pretty frustrated with Krasner, but he's not backing down. And why this matters is important. When the federal government refuses to police itself, when it refuses to hold itself accountable, well, someone has to step in and do that accountability. Someone has to FAFO. That's story number 2. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. I see that TikTok apparently is still having troubles. I want to remind you that we are streaming live on other platforms. We have Substack fired up. We've got YouTube and Twitch. The audience is over there building. The billionaires can try to shut down the American resistance, but we will grow like a weed. The seed of our resistance will blow in the wind. We will find a place to plant. And the thing about a weed, my friends, the weed grows in the most hospitable of places. It grows exactly where they say it shouldn't. So if you're a little bit frustrated with one app or the other app, well, be like a weed. Grow somewhere else. The next story. We're getting a lot of actual sort of frustration in the actual GOP. Quick check. How's it over on Substack, by the way? How are you doing over there on Substack? Tom Tillis in North Carolina has been really all hands on deck, guns a-blazing. Tom Tillis of North Carolina became the first Republican to publicly call for the resignation of Kristi Noem. He did not pull any punches, by the way. He said that what happened with Kristi Noem in Minnesota should be disqualifying. Then he went after Stephen Miller, saying Miller branded Petty a terrorist before they even had the incident report. Tillis called it amateur hour at the worst. and said, Stephen Miller never fails to live up to my expectations of incompetence. That is a Republican senator. There's a Republican senator saying that about Stephen Miller. When somebody challenged Tillis, they said, hey, the president called you a loser. Tillis fired back with the following quote: I'm thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be a Homeland Security Secretary and a senior advisor to the president. Damn, that is aggressive. So what's happening in this context, obviously, is the following. What's happening in this consequence is smart people in the Republican Party who see beyond this current moment understand that this is not going to last forever, that this president, whether that is through his cognitive decline or impeachment or anything else of that nature, is not going to be president forever. And so smart, intelligent, intellectual Republicans who want to have a political career ever again are starting to put a line in the sand. And as much as people want to poo-poo that or discourage you or say, oh, it's never happening, if you don't believe that it's possible to confront this administration and to hold it accountable, what are you doing? What is the purpose? If you don't think that we can win and that we can defeat this tyranny, I guess then just put your hands up. I don't know what to tell you. It requires of us to believe that there can be accountability for the crimes that are happening against America, against American citizens, and against immigrants in our country just trying to make a better life. And I said this yesterday, but let me renew this call again. If by some way or some chance this broadcast gets outside of the increasingly walled gardens of the United States and you live somewhere else, if you live in a different country, do not come to the World Cup. Do not come to the World Cup. You are not safe here. I don't know what information or news looks like from your side of the aisle. I don't know what it looks like from your side of the ocean, but it is far worse than you are seeing on the news. I'll get to that in a little bit. What's happening in Minnesota is far worse. Let me just give you some information. This is from someone on the ground in Minneapolis talking about this yesterday. Just a little snapshot, okay? If you stand in one place long enough in Minnesota, like if you just stand in one place in Minneapolis long enough, you will eventually see ICE agents. People talk about how they're at bars and they're like at a bar watching a football game and like a referee's whistle will go off and everyone in the bar stands up and they're like panicked. The sounds of helicopters almost never stop in the city of Minneapolis. They're constantly under assault by federal law enforcement, even with these new quote unquote guidelines. And what we're seeing is so suppressed. And that's just one city. And so I will renew this challenge to you. If you are from outside of the United States of America and you're considering coming to FIFA, don't come. Don't come to the World Cup. Number one, it is your duty as a citizen of our shared planet to put pressure on this authoritarian administration. Number two, you're actually at risk. No one in this country can guarantee your safety from these masked Gestapo agents terrorizing our streets. And our legal system and our politicians are not going to be there for you if the Gestapo arrests you on the street, does who knows what to you. We talked about this yesterday. Screams coming from these detention centers. They ship you off to some third country. Your family might never see you again. Don't come to the United States. I don't know how else to tell you that. Boycott the World Cup. Do your part as a global international citizen. What's happening in this country is very dark, but there is a resistance. Let's continue on to the next story. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for that, that dark, that very grim story there. But yeah, let's get on to the next story. This one's pretty massive. Something's happening in Georgia. Something's happening with the FBI, and something's happening with, of all people, Tulsi Gabbard. We know now that the FBI issued a search warrant at a Fulton County Election Operations Center in Georgia, and they were seeking boxes of 2020 ballots. Apparently, they took 700 boxes of ballots onto trucks. They allege that they are looking for fraud. This happened 1 week after Trump was speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and he said people would, quote, soon be prosecuted over the 2020 election, while repeating the false claim that it was rigged. So then you have Tulsi Gabbard and FBI Deputy Director Andrew Bailey outside. Fulton County has been fighting a DOJ lawsuit seeking access to records under a Georgia law, and they're looking for ballots and paperwork held under seal by the Clerk of Superior Court. And now they went into Georgia with the FBI and apparently stormed an election center and took boxes of ballots. We have no idea what they're going to do with this information. We have no idea what this looks like. And that is why it is important for you now, more than it ever has been, to prepare to protect your elections. This brings me into my sponsor of the show, Ignite, Fighting Fascism in the Age of Its Rise. If you're looking for how do I push back against this authoritarianism, how do I push back against this creeping fascism coming to my doorstep, we have Ignite, a signature podcast. It is 14 episodes and 4 bonus episodes. And this season, season 2, is all about protecting yourself, protecting your community, and most importantly, protecting your elections. Go download Ignite Season 2 on your favorite podcast platform now and find The Ignition News on your same podcast platform. Let's bring in our last story. So Ken Klippenstein broke some exclusive reporting yesterday. He's apparently confirmed that there are these massive sweeping lists. Lists of people. The government is, we always talk about the government keeping lists. That's been a thing as long as anyone has been alive. But what he's found is quite shocking. A DHS attorney familiar with the system said that after January 6th, the government expanded exponentially into domestic whistleblowing and watch listing, building a comprehensive structure few people fully understand. Officially, we're told there are 3 big lists. Listen to this. 1.1, quote, international terrorists. 10,000 plus, quote, domestic terrorists managed by the FBI, transnational criminals list that's apparently grown to 85,000 people, a rebel radio list. Just kidding. That's a joke. But Klippenstein also reported that there are secret tools and lists of code names like Blue Key, Grapevine, Hummingbird, Reaper, Sandcastle, Slipstream, and Sparta. These people are so unimaginative. My God. Some were for immigration vetting. Others purportedly are pulling down social media, and some are used to connect people in the real world, like mapping your friends and family. And a senior intelligence official said this is not normal, by the way. So now let's connect this to Minnesota. Let me connect this for you. So 2 Americans get killed while documenting or being near federal operations. Were they on a watch list? We don't know, but we do know that the infrastructure exists. Here's the problem with watch listing, okay? Number 1, you usually don't know you're on the list. Number 2, there's rarely a meaningful way to challenge being on a list. And number 3, this can be real life consequences, prohibiting travel, invasive screenings, getting pulled over by the police, being denied visas, and of course, obviously heightened attention from law enforcement at the federal and state or local level. There's lists. It doesn't start with camps, my friend. It starts with surveillance. It starts with lists. And it starts with categorizing opposition as terrorism. That is where we are right now in the United States of America. Let's connect everything together in one story. So you got in Minnesota, the continued federal operation killing 2 Americans, shifting the strategy. Moving on to Philadelphia, pushback, the FAFO commission, prosecutors building a coalition to hold these agents accountable. Will it be successful? We don't know. You've got the GOP, Tom Tillis, cracks in the opposition. And then you've got in Georgia, people raiding election facilities, the FBI, Tulsi Gabbard, raiding and taking 700 boxes. And the common thread here is impunity, people who feel that they are not accountable. So what do you do about it? Number 1, you have to support accountability infrastructure. The FAFO Commission, maybe that's not your thing, but we have to support all forms of resistance. Number 2, we have to continue to be unafraid to document government operations like ICE raids. Number 3, you have to be constantly updating and refreshing yourself about your rights. Number 4, you have to be building local networks and community. And number 5, you have to put pressure on local officials. This is the mission. We're not sliding towards authoritarianism, my friends. We're there. The plan has been built. The lists have been built. And now it's here. That's the Ignition News, everybody, for January 29th, 2026. There's no need to give them the satisfaction of your fear. There's no need. Whether that's organizing in your local community, staying informed, or better understanding your rights, there is accountability coming. There is accountability coming. On days it doesn't feel like it, that is when you have to rely on your network the most. We'll see you back tomorrow for January 30th. This is January 29th. That's been the Ignition News. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next show. That's it. Good job, everybody.